Welcome to another edition of International Soccer Break. I'm your host Sahil here with Ishana. We are covering the U.S. women's national team had two friendlies this week against South Korea. Emma Hayes' debut. Ishana, it was exciting stuff, good games. Let's get into it.
Um, well, first of all, I want to say welcome to the Emma Hayes era. I mean, immediately from kickoff of the first game, we see a tremendous difference, in my opinion. These players are playing quicker, they're playing with fire under their belly, they are seemingly playing with some leadership where, we saw with Vlatko was completely lacking. So I am just happy to start on that note. I really want to say I liked what she did in terms of giving everybody more or less a fair shake, because I think that was the purpose of these friendlies going into the Olympic squad. Now, I want to go game by game because honestly, there is so much ground to cover here.
Yeah, let's do that. Just a point of reference for everyone out there. So this was a 23-person squad. The Olympics, when she selects before July 3rd, she'll have to cut it down to 18. So just we'll preface that, but let's get into the matches.
Oh, such a hard decision. Okay, well, I loved the lineup that she started with in the first game. I thought
Yeah.
it was super strong. I thought she said, please don't read too much into the lineups or anything. However, I want to see that lineup on
Yeah.
in,
A
I
great
mean,
lineup.
Trin, Smith and Swanson. That is a power trio if I've ever seen one. I love Macario playing more as a connector up in the 10. I thought she was excellent. I know, some people maybe didn't think so. I thought she was great. That was probably one of the best games I've seen Lindsay Horan play in. Obviously that back line, solid. Davidson, Gurma, Fox. And I want to point out a couple things, okay? So Tierna Davidson, I already thought she proved herself in the Gold Cup. However, she comes on with not one, but two goals.
Yeah.
Amazing, headers off set pieces. I will say, I think it is important to judge these games based on, South Korea was giving them tons of space in the midfield. And, obviously we had to get past that low block. But that first goal from Davidson, it was pretty weak. It was more of an error, in my opinion, on a defensive error from Korea. And then she was left unmarked on the second. However, that one came in with lots of pace. So,
Yeah.
credit to her. But I really also liked Sophia Smith almost being more of an assister than goal
Yeah.
scorer. I
It was
think
it was interesting lineup of essentially a 4-2-3-1, so to speak, with Mal Swanson, as well, adding to that trio up front. But it was, yeah, I mean, it was great. I thought that was excellent.
Yeah, and I thought Rose Lavelle coming in as a sub was great. I think that is her purpose. I think, she obviously did great things in 2019, etc. But I love her coming in second half at the end towards. The only thing I will say is Jane Campbell. I feel poor girl. It's tough, right? You're in this position where she barely got to showcase anything, and then the couple times she did, she
Yeah.
was shaky. She kind of, and you could tell immediately when she fumbled that ball, she was just like, oh god. It's
Yeah.
hard, it's a lot of pressure. And I know she's good on her feet. And one thing I want to say too is all these players, however well they're doing in the NWSL and in their respective clubs, I think when we look at them on this international pitch, we have to kind of take that out of the equation. We have to see how they're vibing with these players.
Yeah.
Jenna Nightswanger, I thought, was great in both games. I think that obviously she's an example of coming off as Rookie of the Year, and she's killing it.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I thought the first game was excellent, and that starting lineup was a force to be reckoned with. It was great to finally see a U.S. women's national team where they were on the front foot. They were running directly at the other team, and we were thinking back, okay, this is the kind of firepower that the team has, and it was fully unleashed in that game.
Oh, and can I just say, I don't know if you guys remember, but a while ago, I during the World Cup, I was like, Naomi Girma, future captain of the U.S. Women's National Team, just threw that in there. And what happens? Lindsey Horan goes off, gets subbed out, and the captain's band goes to Girma, who is arguably one of the best players on the team, and she seems like a great leader, and I thought that was very cool.
Yeah, and I love Tierna Davidson as well. I think she's a fantastic player. Okay, moving on to the second match, and Emma Hayes decided to start this very differently than the first match. So obviously you had Alex Morgan coming in and a different look with Rose Lavelle starting.
Mm-hmm.
What was your initial impression? Because this was a very different look to start it off. Emily Sonadin, yeah, and of course Casey Murphy in goal.
Yeah, I liked I liked that she chose to start like that. I liked seeing Corbin Albert start. I liked seeing Dunn start up front because we're trying to explore, what she can do with her versatility. It was nice too, I think, just to give Roosevelt her 100th cap. And
Yeah.
I thought I've been very critical of Roosevelt in terms of her performance on the national team in recent tournaments, but I really think she played quite well. This being said, I still do think she would be better utilized as a sub. And I think Dunn, when further substitutions were made, and she was first of all, she scored. We'll
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I will say she looked a little tired up there at times. But I think when more substitutions were brought on, and she just pulled back into a different position, that just proved her versatility. And I think she's a very hardworking and tenacious player, and I think she proved her value on the team, whether it's as a sub, whether it's as someone who can kind of occupy different roles.
Yeah. I think, the US got the initial goal. And then after a while, I thought there was a little bit of a lull with the starters. And then I think, especially in the beginning of the second half, and then I think the subs that were made bring a lot of the same players, Mal
Oh yeah.
Swanson, Sophia Smith, Trin, that had started the previous game. You saw very quickly how they made a difference.
I mean, it was Earth to Moon. Like I said, I'm happy she started them to prove that this is not the starting lineup we need at all.
Yeah. Right.
Sonnet, I think, again, she has versatility. She can play different positions. So if you want to keep her on reserve, that's worth noting. But it's you cannot start Morgan for sure.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, it's a little tough to look at her potential role on the team with such a small squad. And I think the big wild card was Lil Johannes, who came in
Scored.
and scored, but also forget, even before that, she made these great touches. She made a great long ball to Rodman. I mean, she's 16 years old. She just was, it's tough. I mean, it was almost like I feel like we did not want her to do that great, just because now it's going to be so difficult to make these decisions. But she was cool, she was calm, she was collected. And I have to say, I think in the first game, I would say Rodman and Sophia Smith, they weren't having their best games. This game, I think both of them actually played quite excellently. Rodman has just really stepped up. She's gotten really aggressive. She's bulked up. And that goal that Sophia Smith had, that angle, was awesome. And I'm really happy that she's stepping up, because she was looking a little rough there for a while.
Yeah, no, that I agree. Both Trinity Rodman and Sophia Smith, since where they've come from the World Cup to now, is Earth to Moon. So I think only good great stuff in their future. And I think you're 100% right. The youngsters on this team have definitely stepped it up. Okay, so the games are in the books now. Casey Murphy, of course, a fantastic save in the second Korea
Mhm.
match. So I think if Alyssa Nair is not fully fit to play in the Olympics, I think it's Casey Murphy. But okay, here's where it gets a little bit tricky
Oh.
because who makes the Olympic roster? We'll end the video with this because unfortunately, all 23 of these players won't be able to go. Do you take Lily Johannes? I don't know. It gets very tricky here where to go from here.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's okay, so we're gonna keep the people who are locks aside, and obviously the goalies, whether it's Nair and Murphy or Murphy and Campbell,
Yeah.
Aubrey Kingsbury, we can see her
Yeah.
out of the picture. Look, if I'm honest, I mean, do I think Alex Morgan is a stronger player than Emily Sonnet? Of course. Do I think that she's more additive leadership wise, position wise? Sure. But the problem is Sonnet can play, there is some versatility, whereas Morgan is sort of fighting for this position that, of course, Mallory Swanson is occupying, but we also have these other midfielders who are coming in who are capable of scoring, like Lily. And if I'm just looking at merit and looking at this tournament, I mean, she's coming off an ankle injury. She hasn't played that many NWSL games. I would probably leave her off the squad, but that is like breaks my heart because I think it would be so sad for her.
Yeah.
And I don't think that will happen, but if I were to be honest, I think, and the only other player I will say who looked a little shaky was Jaden Shaw this particularly this second game. I still think she's not, connecting her passes super well. Kruger as well, a little bit questionable.
Yeah.
It's hard though. Like, I don't think I wasn't expecting Sam Staub to play so well, and she really did. And she got a lot of playing time.
So she's
Coffee,
she's an inclusion for you then, Sam
I
Staub.
mean,
Because
it's
I
hard.
think the tricky part where we get with the borderline again, we don't know how Emma Hayes is going to take this. Just there could be a lot of players on the borderline, but the way I look at it is, yeah, like you mentioned, is Alex Morgan, Crystal Dunn obviously is a favorite of Emma Hayes, so I don't see her not taking Crystal Dunn,
Mhm.
especially after she scored a goal. So we're looking at the Sam Staubs of the world, Casey Kruger. This is kind of where we're at Lily Johannes, even though she scored, do you take her, do you not? So this is kind of the area where we're dealing with.
I Davidson for sure over Sam Staub, but it's tricky. I mean, I would probably leave Kruger off.
Yeah.
I think. I just think, and I would, yeah, if Sam Staub is a bubble player, I'd maybe think about her as well. Corbin Albert played well. I don't think she played as great as she could. It was nice to see that she had a new number, fresh start.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's tricky. Again, if that's a question of team chemistry and if that's coming up, you may want to, think about that. Although I think she's a super talented player and I think she has a long future with this team. It's hard because there's a lot of players who, you know, can play multiple positions. I'd consider keeping Sonnet off too in that sense. These are all bubble players. But the only one I think who proved herself, who was sort of in that position, was Tierna Davidson, who I definitely
It's
need to speak.
100% a lock at this point in time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we shall see what Emma Hayes decides to do as we go closer to the Olympics. Of course, the July camp is coming up, and they'll have a chance to play Mexico and maybe exact a little bit of, revenge, so to speak, for the loss in the Gold Cup, or at least see how they match up. But I think we're all excited about the Olympics And of course, before that camp, Emma Hayes will be naming the squad. So
Oh, how is she gonna be able to sleep at night? Like, I can't.
it's getting intense. It's getting intense, and a lot of soccer to come this summer. If you're enjoying these videos, please subscribe to the channel. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments of who you think makes the squad, who's off. Do you agree with some of the points we made, or do you have your own opinions? But we are here to discuss and open the conversation. As I always say, go USA.